All right. All right, what is up, everybody? Chris Curtis here with Rockwall ISD, of course, joined by Billy Quinn, who is the head broadcast captain for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. We're down a man today. The work bug has gone around, and the flu bug has gone around. So we are down a cameraman, and we are down a Rockwall Heath broadcaster. So tough luck there, but we're going to try to get through everything here. So don't worry, Hawk fans. We're going to cover it as we go as well. But let's start with Rockwall. Great week, very nerve-wracking week for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets on Friday night. Cold weather, wind, rain, about everything you can think of. I know you guys were nice and cozy in the booth, and Tyler.
Right.
But a very, very close win, as it always is, with Tyler Lee. Rockwall was able to escape the victory. What went right for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets on Friday night?
Well,
close one.
Not a lot of stuff went right, but enough to get the win. But you talked about it, and Coach Webb has mentioned it. In fact, he mentioned it in our post-game interview. When Rockwall plays Lee at home, in Wilkerson Sanders Stadium, it's a blowout. When we go out there to Tyler, that is a close one. It's a touchdown game every time. Last 3 years, it's been by one score, and it's come down to the final play sometimes, and it came down to the wire in this one. And it was a good test for Rockwall. They needed it. They had not had their starters playing in the last 5 weeks. Last 5 games, their starters were not playing in the second half. Most of the time because Rockwall had the game in hand. The one game against Longview, that was the other way around, and the guys, they didn't need to come in that second half. So this was a good test for Rockwall to come in there and keep the starters in and have a nail-biter. The things weren't going right for them. There was a couple calls that went against Rockwall. There was a couple turnovers that were unexpected, as far as Braden had a couple interceptions. And the weather, all these things that were not going well. And it even looked like Rockwall had it sewn up near the end when Rockwall was killing the clock, and they decided to go ahead and take a shot and put this thing away. And a great play made by the safety, Grady, came in and got the interception on a jump ball, and that gave Lee some hope. They took it down the field, and they scored to go up 4 with just a minute 48 left in the game. And so Rockwall had to put it together, had to put together a last-second drive. They did. They had a great drive, a crucial fourth down conversion on a play that was very similar to a play that did not work earlier on a throwback screen to Catlett. Well, this time it does work, and Catlett gets the crucial first down, and then a big pass and grab for the Yellow Jackets to get the win. Locke finds Trevor Munson for his first touchdown of the season, and he's in the back of the end zone, makes the grab, and Rockwall's defense comes out, does their job, holds that Lee offense to Lee did not even get past midfield. They had to get back down to try a field goal. They couldn't, and Rockwall pulls out the win, and it was a huge win. Rockwall clinches a playoff spot.
Absolutely. And if you're just joining us now and logging on, don't forget to ask us any questions that you want. We have full signal here. Very excited about that.
I like you being taller
than me. That's the only chance I get to be taller than you. Short guy props. But if you're just joining us, Stan Britton is out this week due to work. So we are going to try to fill in best we can for Stan and the Rockwall Heath Hawks. So don't worry, Hawk fans. We're going to get you covered as well. What was Coach Webb saying after this game? 35-32 in the rain. I know back here at home with the Rockwall Heath game, man, the weather was miserable. It was misty. The ball was flying everywhere. Kicks weren't working. Just a messy game. So what's Coach Webb saying after that game in East Texas where you get a 35-32 victory and escape?
Well, he said it was needed. You never want to go into a game and say, okay, we want to have things go wrong. We want to have it go down to the last minute. We want to have to fight adversity. But in the back of a lot of coaches' minds, they do want that.
Absolutely.
You do want that. You're just never going to go create it, but they do want it. And he was actually, thankful for it. It was one of those games that you need to have. You're getting ready to go into the playoffs, and things will not go as they do in the regular season. A lot of times you're playing, no matter where you're at, you're playing quality opponents. So if you make a mistake, you're going to pay for that mistake. There's been a number of games that Rockwall's made some mistakes, and it didn't really matter. This time it does. Absolutely. And they had to go in there and handle it and make up for it. And that's what Coach Webb talked about. He was very proud of the way the offense fought, because it was a defense that Lee threw at them. They run a 4-2-5, but Lee kind of, tricked it up a little bit. What they actually did was they did go man-to-man. They brought a safety over to cover Jackson. They doubled him most of the game. Jackson wasn't a huge factor. Had one big 39-yard grab on the first drive for the Yellow Jackets. But other than that, wasn't a huge factor as far as receptions. He's a huge factor as far as defenses having to cover him and allowing other things to happen for the Rockwall offense. But all in all, he was very happy that other guys had to step up. J.J. Williams had an outstanding game, 3 touchdowns, 1 through the air, 2 rushing on jet sweeps. The defense came through and made some big plays. Ashworth was playing well. Hinojosa, again, making big plays. Gonzalez. Mock, they were really in there making plays and separating players from the ball on some attempted passes. And then you get guys like Trevor Munson coming in, getting the touchdown. Catlett relieving Zach Henry, who had another outstanding ball game. Let's see here. Henry had 174 yards rushing, 26 carries. A lot of carries for Zach. I don't think he's carried it that much in about it. I know since last season. And so he averages 6.7 yards a carry. The running game is crucial. Even though they had 6 guys in the box most of the time, they were doing great covering our receivers, so we still had to run it, and Rockwall did. They were getting chunk after chunk and moving it down the field on the ground, killing a little bit of clock, and getting the win. So I think Coach Webb, all in all, was excited that they overcame some adversity, got the win, because you want to win in different ways. You do want to see sometimes your defense step up. Obviously, you want your offense to do well. You want to overcome adversity. You want to overcome the weather conditions. Lee was more of a running team than Rockwall. Lee runs it all the time. It didn't affect them, it looked like, as much as it affected Rockwall. And even in some of the passes, that last pass I was talking about that Grady intercepted, that was just a ball that as I talked to Braden, just came out of his hand wrong because of the weather. And it's just a risk you take, and they got the interception and took advantage, and luckily Rockwall came back.
And there's no excuses in the weather, because it only gets worse as we continue on to the playoffs, of course. You never know what the weather's going to be here in Texas. If you're joining us now on Twitter, hop over on YouTube. I promise the video quality is a lot better than it is on Twitter at the moment, but right now we're getting some people logging on. So if you're just joining us, Stan Braden is out. We are not forgetting about the Rockwall Heath Hawks. We're actually going to be talking about them here very shortly, so stay with us. He had a work issue that came up last minute, so we will fill in for him as best we can and talk about your Rockwall Heath Hawks, who are still alive in the playoff picture as we continue on down the road.
Okay, here. What is Stan's a preacher?
Stan's a preacher, works in medical, too.
Right. Well, I'm just worried that maybe the communion crackers didn't come in.
Oh, boy.
What happened?
It's only Wednesday. Well, I know.
Grape juice is low. What's happening?
I don't know what's happening over there, but something happened in the last 5 minutes before he was supposed to be
These
here.
Baptists and the donuts didn't show up. That's a big problem.
We're in
That's
trouble.
a big problem.
We're in trouble. But, Billy, go back to the Rockwall game, 35-32 in favor of the Yellow Jackets. That defense had to shine once again, especially, I think, if I remember, about 1:10 left in the final minutes of the game on that. Tyler Lee had a chance to win the game, really, in the final minute, and were unable to do so, and all thanks to that Rockwall defense.
It was, and it started with the first play as they went back to pass the defensive line. Huge pressure on Adams. Brought him down on a big sack. In fact, Lee had, I believe, 2 timeouts left. They had to use that first timeout. Even losing 10 yards, then having to use a timeout was crucial for Rockwall's defense to make Lee have to, use a timeout when they didn't want to. So that sack really set things back, and Lee couldn't get things going after that. They don't have a highly potent passing game, so that was really putting them behind the 8 ball, because they could have ran it. But then when you get back to 2nd and 20. It's hard to run the ball. Even though Rockwall's playing back a little bit, don't want to let anybody get behind them, it's hard to make a comeback and at least even get in the field goal range if you just run the ball. So Rockwall knew that, and they did try another run. It didn't work out, and before you knew it, they were in a 3rd and long, and Rockwall's defense came in and did what they needed to do, and they did it all game. They played a really good game. In fact, Coach Webb talked about it, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's almost 200 yards rushing, or over 200 yards rushing, just on 5 carries. All the rest of the carries, they were stopped. And so that's one thing that the defense really will be working on in the next few weeks, is not allowing that big play, because there was a number of times that they would be in a 2nd long situation. You think, okay, we got them. They let the runner get loose. And once they got in that open territory, these runners are unbelievable, both for Lee. Miller especially. Once he gets in the open field, he'll go crazy. And then Donnell, also a big rushing game, had 3 touchdowns. So if you're playing Lee, your hands are full for the whole game, especially in Tyler. And Rockwall's defense did what they needed to do to slow him down, and that was huge, especially in the end of the game.
Absolutely, 35-32 victory. We got a comment. What's with the consistent fuzz in the background? I don't know. We're down a cameraman, so he's not able to iris and everything for us. He has the flu tonight, so Man, it's just me and Billy here tonight to getting things done here. So
okay, what if we got Stan over to Jet, our cameraman?
Pray
Stan,
for Jet.
Put hands on him.
Hands
Let's
on
get him
him.
healed.
Get him going.
Let's get this rolling. We
Man,
got updates to do.
It's playoff. It's playoff football season coming up here pretty soon. But so we're down to cameraman, so we do apologize for that. That was last minute as well. So we are flowing as best we can here. So we apologize for the fuzz in the background. We will work on getting that fixed next week for you by golly. So, but mention playoffs. Rockwall is in the playoffs for the 7th straight consecutive season. Just an outstanding football program that Coach Webb has built here for Rockwall. Talk about the importance of getting in. Obviously, you have a final game this week against Mesquite, which they only have one loss in the season district as well.
Yeah, Mesquite's really impressive.
It's not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, Mesquite is rocking and rolling right now, and they're going to come and try to spoil the party here. That could really affect where Rockwall is going to be seated as far as the playoff goes. That's probably going to be your two teams in Division I. So really the winner of this game will probably get that home game coming up here in 2 weeks. So not an easy game for Rockwall, and it's a game that Coach Webb's going to say, we got to go get this win.
Oh, yeah, and every game, if you want to go get that win. But in this one in particular, Rockwall's been in situations over the past few years where they go to their last game, and it really doesn't mean a lot other than keeping the momentum, working on a few things. You're going to be seated where you expect to be. But this one's different because Mesquite has had an outstanding season. As you mentioned, they come into this game 7-1 overall, 3-1 in district play. They've also had a bye to prepare for Rockwall. They were off last week, so they've had 2 weeks to get ready for Rockwall's, especially Rockwall's offense. And it's big for Mesquite. If Mesquite comes in here and beats Rockwall, they get that number 1 Division I seed. And it's weird to talk about when you know that Longview's won this district. They've got this one locked up.
Unless something magical happens.
Unless Lee beats Longview. But even if Lee beats Longview, it's still pretty tough for somebody to catch up to.
They have that bye week.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
right.
You're right.
And so Longview's pretty much got it, but they're going to be Division II no matter what. They're one of the smaller schools in our district. They always are going to be Division II. So we know that even if with a loss to Longview and Mesquite lost to Longview, we're both going to be Division I and having that possibility of a home game to start the playoffs. And Mesquite knows it, Rockwall knows it, and it's huge to have that home game to start the playoffs. You don't want to be going down to Central Texas and have to play and start the playoffs that way if you have the opportunity to play at home. So this game pretty much decides it. And I know it's big for Rockwall, definitely big for Mesquite, and it's great to have a last game that has a lot on the line.
Absolutely.
And it's also comforting to know that, well, both teams, Mesquite's already qualified too. The teams that have clinched in our district are Longview, Rockwall, and Mesquite. They're in. And we'll talk about it in a little bit, but you got 3 other teams fighting for that last spot, including Heath, and we'll talk about that. But right now, both teams are looking to sweeten the pot a little bit and get that home game. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this one turns out and what the teams do to try to get the edge on each other.
Absolutely, and you mentioned playoffs, and if you're just joining us, Stan Britton is out. He had a work issue come up today, so we're going to dive into Rockwall Heath. They kept their playoff hopes alive this past week by taking out Mesquite Horn. I believe it was 47-31. Yes, that is correct. Nearly put up 50 on Mesquite Horn. The Mesquite Horn team, and they are struggling. Obviously, last year you know the story. They had to win out their final 3 games to make playoffs. They did it after going through 0-7 to start the season. That was one of the great. And they went a few rounds deep in the playoffs. That was one of the great stories of the 6A football playoffs last year. But this year they are on the struggle bus. Rockwall Heath handled them pretty easily. And as a matter of fact, I mean, they had full control of that game, despite what the score says. They were in full control pretty much for the entire way, especially with the bad weather. The kicking game was non-existent. It was windy here. It was messy. So Rockwall Heath keeps their playoff hopes alive. There's a lot to dive into as far as the playoff seeding goes. I'm going to let Billy kind of dive into it as well.
Thanks.
I'm going to give, because he's the math major here. So
really,
I'm going by what we were reading on
art.
It's an art, pretty much. But Rockwall Heath needs to win out, which they are obviously off this week.
Right.
They cannot lose or win this week. They will finish off against North Mesquite next week on the road on a Thursday night. Looking at the weather, more rain. So that could be a rain game. A North Mesquite team that is struggling, that every team in 11-6A has defeated. But North Mesquite's going to want to spoil the party, of course. So you can't count them out. And they need Longview to handle business this week against Tyler Lee.
Yeah, it basically comes down to Lee can't win another game. That's what it comes down to. Lee right now is officially in 4th place at 2-2 with the Rockwall win, and that was big for Heath. If Lee would have beaten Rockwall, that would have eliminated Heath. Yeah, and Lee would have gotten their 3rd win in district. Rockwall was already there with the 3rd win. All Heath can do is get 2 wins in district and we anticipate them beating North Mesquite next week. So Heath has to win that game and then hope some things work out. And basically what it looks like is it's going to be, and this is what Heath is hoping for, a 3-way tie between Lee, Horn, and Heath. That's what they're looking for. Because you don't want to go head-to-head. Lee has beaten Heath, so they win that tiebreaker. And then Horn, they did defeat Horn just recently, so when you get to the 3-way tie, now you got to start working points. The one thing that also works against Heath is that they did lose to Mesquite by 10. You want to keep those numbers down. And it was, if I remember right, a late score by Mesquite that made it. I think they were down by 3, and then a late score. That's huge. And so it puts Heath at a slight disadvantage. The win that Horn had over that Lee had over Heath was, that Lee had over Horn. I'll get there in a minute. That Lee had over Horn was not as big as a deficit, or as big as a win as far as the points go. And I know I've made it more confusing. But anyway, basically what it comes down to is Heath can't allow, or they do not want Lee to win one more. And so you want to get in a 3-way tie and hope that things work out. Yeah, what it comes down to is the last game of the year. We anticipate that Longview is going to beat Lee this week. So that's going to keep Lee at 2 wins. They'll be 2-3. And then Lee plays Horn at the end. And so you hope that Horn beats Lee, and then now you have a 3-way tie. And that's basically what it comes down to. And more than likely, after we get through this scenario, you're going to want Horn to beat Lee. I got to think about it. I'm not sure. It depends on how much Horn beats Lee by. So that will make a big difference too. So it's going to get a little tricky. You want Horn to win, but Horn to win by a couple scores will help. Maybe, or I don't know within the tiebreaker thing if it's less points will help out. So this is something I really haven't thought about a lot, as you can tell, as I tried to
get your marker board out here and start writing things down, formulas down.
I'll put it this way: it's good to be in on this side. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to put you in there.
It's tough.
I'm going to put you in shoes too. Going with Rockwall Heath. Spryland has never had a losing season, so he's not used to where he's at the moment.
Right.
To get to 5-5 for the season, to get to 2 wins in a row to close out your season, just to see where Rockwall Heath started this season, lots of youth, a lot of up-and-comers, a lot of new faces. Is that something that's going to really help going forward for that Rockwall Heath program as far as being more of a competitor here in this district? They still are, but the expectations are going to be a little higher next year as we keep going and going and going.
Well, there's a number of things. First of all, it's been a tough season for Heath. It started great, and everybody knew that schedule, that the teams that were playing early was not the most dominant teams that once they got into district play. And we knew that. Kind of had hoped, and there was a couple tough breaks for Heath where they could have had that Lee win, and they didn't. They lose that one. If I remember right, the Mesquite game was very close. Mesquite pulls it out at the end. This whole season's different for Heath, especially in that Lee game. If they beat Lee as opposed to losing to Lee,
we got a different story.
It's a whole different ballgame right now, and we're probably reversing it where Lee's hoping for Heath to lose one more or whatever. So that game was huge, and so that was something that I know that it's probably obviously bothers Coach Growler and his staff and those players, but as far as the positive goes, this is outstanding for Heath. Let's go back a year when they did not finish strong. They did win their last game against North Mesquite, but let's be honest, North Mesquite doesn't beat a lot of people right now. They're rebuilding. So they got that last win, but it was still uncertain future after that season last year. You didn't know if Moss was staying or going, and there was a lot of kids that weren't playing that you wished were on the team and so then the change is made. Coach Spradlin comes in. He's done an outstanding job. And that brings kids back to the team that wants to play, a lot of them, and they have a really good season. The big deal is, yes, it's huge to go between 5-5 and 4-6. I think that's massive because you do want to look back on that season and say, okay, we finished, we didn't have a losing record. 5-5 is respectable, especially looking back at the last couple of years. And you've got a lot of kids coming back that are going to lean on that. You need that momentum going into the next season. You want to end it on a high note. And who knows, if things work out, maybe the high note is you're in the playoffs,
Sure.
and then let's go reel off a few. And it could be outstanding season still. But if the worst case scenario happens and Heath doesn't get in the playoffs, it's really important to win that last one, I think. And they have a team that they should beat them handily. You can go out there, take care of business, and these sophomores and juniors can take that with them and be ready for the next season, because we know for a fact that Heath is going to be in the hunt next year. They're in the hunt right now, but they're going to be more of the, already probably clinched category and trying to work on seeding next year as opposed to just trying to get in. And I've said this before. We were here as Rockwall 2013.
Mm-hmm. That
first year. We had to depend on somebody else. We got lucky that Horn beat North. This was back when North Mesquite was a little bit more competitive, and we needed Horn to beat North Mesquite. And I know that Coach Webb was even worried about it, just based on he had just left Horn. Horn didn't need that win.
Yeah.
They were already in the playoffs, and he was like, listen, Horn could make our lives miserable, make my life miserable, and they didn't. They went and won on a last-second field goal. Rockwall gets in, wins their first round against Naaman Forest, and then goes and plays Jesuit in the Cotton Bowl, and it was great. And that was huge for that team, taking it to the next level. Let's remember, 2014, they went undefeated until they lost in the regional quarters against Westfield. So things can turn around very, very quickly. And knowing the talent that he has that's coming up and that is already on this team, it's outstanding. And you just want to have that good taste in your mouth. You've already beaten Horn. Go beat North Mesquite. You know you can do it. You know you're right there. Next year is the time to do it if you don't get in the playoffs this year. If you get in the playoffs this year, it's a brand new season. And let's go.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, that last game in 13, Rockwall got just punched in the mouth by Longview. I mean, they were pretty much left for dead. And
last game of the year.
And then we all stuck around and waited for that Mesquite Horn game, and sure enough, you're in, and you're going, whoa. So, I mean, that you never know what can happen in the playoff scenario, especially in 6A football. Well, they weren't. Were they 6A?
That was 5A.
5A at the time. Yeah. So, you never know what can happen, especially in UIL playoffs as far as football goes.
Two things in that season. Yeah, first of all, it was a lot of the same kids that went 4-6 the previous year. 4-6. No, 3-7 the previous year. Sure. They went 3-7 the previous year. Then you go 5-5 that next year. And then they got the right wins in district to get in, but they lost the very first game to Naaman Forest. They lost by 21, if I remember right.
Yeah.
They played Naaman Forest first round of the playoffs and beat them. If I remember right, it was by 20-21. That showed how that team had improved through the season. Shows what Coach Webb and his staff could do. Shows what believing in yourself can do. He's in the same position.
Absolutely.
He's going to come back here next year, and some of the teams that they had trouble with or was nip and tuck, they're going to be a lot better and ready to roll. As a Rockwall guy, we know it's going to be different. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be different next year. Rockwall Heath game. I mean, this one was a close one, a good one.
Sure.
Rockwall pulled away at the end, but it was very competitive, and it was a lot of that was a really good team that Rockwall beat, and so it's going to be a better team that Rockwall's facing next year. Hopefully, Rockwall's better too, and it's going to be. I'd love it that it decides the district next year.
Absolutely, never know.
So, that's not far fetched, because I just see Heath being really, really good. Coach Spradlin has done an outstanding job. His staff, they're just somebody that they're basically like what Mesquite is right now. Remember last year in Mesquite, we were like,
they were 5-5 last year.
They were, and you looked at them going, those guys are going to be good next year.
Here
we are. It's a tough game that Rockwall's got against Mesquite. They only lost one game this season. Heath will probably be in that same boat next year.
It's almost like going 5-5 is almost a must when you change regimes, essentially, in a way. Going 5-5 with the teams in this district has proved, other than Longview, who gets it done every year, it seems like they reload. Mm-hmm. I mean, the teams that are looking to rebuild and get revamped, that 5-5 record is almost what you want to get. Because with the realignment this February, Strong's going to put some teams on there that Robbie's put on there as well.
Yes.
We're going to go play some good teams, and if we get punched in the mouth, we're going to learn.
Well, and that was the big process for Rockwall, and Heath will do it too. And Coach Spradlin had no control of the schedule this year. So next year he does, as you mentioned, and that's what Coach Webb always says. Listen, non-districts to see where you stack up. And how do you measure yourself unless you go against teams that are better than you, or at least at the same level as you? Let's see how we stack up, what we need to do, where we're good, where we're not good. And it's tough to go, whip up on some teams that is not at your level, and now you have to, play at a higher level against teams that are as good or better than you. We've seen it in baseball. Both schools, Rockwall and Heath, but 2 years ago, when both teams were very good baseball teams, both lost in by district round, first round of the playoffs. You never saw that. Why? There was no competition in district. And
same with volleyball.
In volleyball. It's hard to measure yourself. Even though you're doing great and you're a good team, it's hard to get back and get to that top-notch level that you're playing at when you're playing really good teams. And sometimes it's too late once you get there. You need to have competition. That's what the non-district's for. Coach Webb isn't worried about losing games. He wants to win them all. But a loss against a really good team, you learn a lot from it. And that's what he's going to do next year, I anticipate. And that's what they need to do, in my opinion.
Coach Bowles chiming in. Let's go. I mean, a lot of people care about rankings. I know as college football, fans, we care about rankings. I know a lot of, parents care about rankings. I know the kids really are toned down by the coaches. Say, don't worry about your number next year, your school. A lot of people like to talk about rankings, but I mean, a lot of people ask, well, why isn't Rockwall Heath, Rockwall volleyball? Why aren't they ranked? Why isn't Rockwall Heath ranked when they were 3-0? Why weren't they ranked?
Right.
You look at competition, and
yes.
They're not going to give you the love when you're just blowing out people, and then they want to see how you fare when you jump into the first round of playoffs, and you're playing somebody, and that's kind of much what you're looking at right
and
now.
That's what it is. And I remember when Rockwall in 2014, they were playing tough competition, and also takes a little bit of reputation. Yes. I think Rockwall right now, because they've won for so many years, the 7th straight year they're in the playoffs now, you have some reputation with you. So those guys, those writers, all those guys putting it in there, they know, hey man, they've always been good. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt as opposed to this new guy coming out.
Sure.
But it took Rockwall a little bit being the new guy to get some reputation. And Rockwall Heath will see that next year because it's been a while since Heath's been in the rankings. And you're right, the volleyball the same way. You got to look at your competition, and that's what they look at. That's what everybody looks at, and it can be deceiving. The whole same thing with the record you talk about Heath. 4-6 looks a lot worse than 5-5. And you want to end it 5-5? They're going to look at that when they start doing the rankings next year and start looking at stuff and comparing teams. They're going to see a 5-5, as opposed to a 4-6, because I'm very confident Heath wins next week. That makes a huge difference also, and it gives confidence to the players, and all that. I'm looking today, as far as Rockwall goes, they got to move up a spot in the area. They're number 5 in the area, but they back into all the state rankings.
Sure.
A couple of them they'd fallen out after the loss to Longview. Now they've worked their way back in. The lowest ranking they have is number 25 with Dave Campbell's. So that's huge. I think it gives the players a boost. Does it mean anything, really? No.
25 and Dave Campbell's after they've come out here twice this year.
I know.
Love. They don't give us
I know.
Come on, man.
And I agree. I think it should be a little high. If they got Martin ahead of us, we whooped up on Martin. So, it's hard. So that's where you show sometimes the rankings are a little off, at least in my opinion, a lot of our opinions. But it's meaningful in college. That's how they decide, playoff teams. In high school, doesn't matter. Getting the playoffs doesn't matter. Yeah.
Not official by any stretch of the imagination. This is not coming from Webb or Scriven or Billy or me, but what do you want to put a bet that's one of our teams tries to get Duncan Ball in the schedule next year? How fun would that be?
That would be
That's
nice.
a good measuring stick.
That would be an extremely good measuring stick.
They're number 1 not only in the state, but I think they're 1 in the nation. 1 or 2.
Yeah,
they're up there.
I have an idea who our teams are next year, and I'm not going to say anything. I will say this. Jacket fans, you're not going to be disappointed. It's an outstanding non-district schedule.
So LSU and Bama are coming in.
Right. But we're gonna we don't want to start the season. Yeah, we still will. We'll throw Highland Park in there too. You always have them. So, but no,
and that's a great rivalry. It's become a great rivalry with Highland Park.
Sure.
I mean, pretty much.
But there's team. But the hard part is, and Heath will get there too. They've been there. Heath's been there. A few years ago when they were the dominant one, and Rockwall was the one trying to scrap their way back into it. Teams don't want to play either.
Sure.
That's a lot of times why you have to go get these top teams, because you walk around and Coach Webb has said it. He goes, man, I'll go to a lot of coaches. And they're like, I ain't playing you.
Yeah.
Non-district. A lot of it because teams are in the spot where they got to build something. Mm-hmm. And a lot of teams do
you got something to prove.
Yeah. And you at least want to have one really good team, but Rockwall's at a point now that they get, if they can, 4 really good ones. And a lot of teams do that. And people do that. And you really do see what you're made of and how you stack up, and it helps these coaches tremendously to know what to work on and where they got to go.
And there's a lot of rumblings this week. Obviously, we won't know the official word on realignment. There's word that Longview could be on the teeter-totter of 5A, 6A. We don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we don't know those numbers till they're all assigned. Highland Park maybe moving up to 6A. Obviously, everything's a rumor now, so you don't really know where the district's going to where the district's going to fall, but we're pretty sure it's going to stay pretty much just the same because there's really nowhere for the Longview and Tyler Lease to go.
My sources are telling me don't
Same.
expect too much change.
Yeah, that's kind of what mine are saying too.
Yeah.
But, it's fun to talk about it. It's fun to say, what if Longview drops down to 5A or Highland Park jumps up? Where do you put Highland Park? I know 2 years ago they were in a kind of mesquite district in a way. And that was a surprise to some people where's Highland Park going? And,
right.
So, you never know. It's fun to play with.
It is fun. You kind of like to think about it. Because let's be honest, all of us like a little bit of change, and let's have change it up a little bit. I would like not to worry about Longview sometimes.
Sure.
But then most of the time I want Longview in the district because, again, that's a team
that shows you where you are.
I want to go beat them. We, been close a number of years. This year, not so close. But previous years, very close. And you're like right there. And so... Or you would like another shot, and you never can with Longview because their enrollment, you're not going to play them in the playoffs.
I'd love to play Longview one more time.
Sure.
I'd love to have a healthy team and rock and roll against
Let's
Longview.
Let's go play with Jackson.
And not have that bye week at the very final game of the year. That's just the worst.
That's a tough one. I think, talk about that bye week, the coaching staff, Coach Webb hates it at the end of the year until you get there. All right, breathe. Now we have a chance to kind of rest and get ready for the playoffs. But I think much rather have it during the season. Remember back in the day when it was an even number district, we would have it before the district started. It was great for everybody to get ready, so that was nice. But.
Absolutely. You mentioned a name that a lot of people are still talking about, Jackson Smith. Tell us where Jackson is at the moment. He's obviously getting a lot of love. His Ohio State Buckeyes rising in the rankings once again. Right. So. They're only going to be better next year with Jackson joining the club. I
can't imagine this receiving corps at Ohio State when he gets there because a couple other guys they recruited are unbelievable receivers also, and they already have a stable full of great receivers.
I'm glad Texas has played Ohio State a couple of years ago. We're done with them because they are going to be blowing some people up next year.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be hard, but where's Jackson at? How's he looking?
Well, last game he did not have his usual Jackson game, 3 catches for 51 yards. He did have that 39-yard reception, but Lee had made a total commitment to take him out. And so Rockwall relied on the other guys, which they came through, and especially JJ. Trevor got the big catch, and Quinn Koski, I forgot to mention him with a big grab late in the game on a nice play over the shoulder catch. So they had to rely on those guys. So right now, total numbers, Jackson's still number 1 in yards. I got this right up here. Receiving yards, he's leading the area. In fact, he's still the only guy over 1,000 yards, 1,056 yards on the season. Actually, I don't think they've updated that because we have his numbers out at 1,107 yards. So this could be an older one that I'm looking at here. But anyway, he's still
looking right behind him. Rockwall Heath.
And then you have Jaden Jones right there. And as long as as far as I know, this has not been updated because. I'm assuming, I don't know what Jaden did last game, but he was at 928, so...
Oh, he was balling.
Okay, so he's over 1,000
his usual self, absolutely, yeah.
So he's over 1,000 too. So, it's really important, really nice to have these kind of players here in the district.
You mentioned Jackson kind of not having his usual. Does that... I know most teams going in that's object number 1 is stopping Jackson and getting him out of the game. Should that worry Jacket fans going forward that Tyler Lee might have given, some leeway on how to slow the guy down?
No, I asked Coach Webb that specifically. I said, is that a blueprint? He's like, no way. It's not a blueprint. Because there was a number of things that also they knew that would happen, and they decided to, in the game plan, they relied on the run. Like I said, Zach had 26 carries. Khalil came in. He had 4 carries, but then they also ran it with JJ. JJ had a couple carries, and so they relied on running the ball there. Jackson came in and had some carries. He came in at quarterback in the Wildcat. So that was the game plan, knowing it was going to be bad weather. And I do think I asked Braden Locke, I said, do you think you should have taken some more chances? Because normally we throw it to him when he's double covered. And Braden just did not this time. And a lot of it was the weather. You just are not as confident with your accuracy when you have the wet ball. Let's just throw it to the wide open guy and let's go. And so, no. And then the other thing is, and we knew this going in, Coach Webb had talked about, they took their running back, Miller, and their receiver, Grady, unbelievably great athletes. And they played offense, but they also went defense, and they played safety. Both of them played at 2 of the safety spots. And very, very talented players that were good at staying with Jackson. I don't think a lot of teams have that. So if you say it's a blueprint, great, but do you have the guys to go out and do it? Most teams don't. And there was a conscious effort, too, that Rockwall did not worry too much of trying to fight through that, to throw into that double team. So I think that changes as you move forward. You want Jackson involved, and Coach Webb had mentioned that. He goes, we'll get Jackson involved again. If that happens again, there's going to be more opportunities for him. But this game, it just didn't present itself as much. Didn't take the risk, and Rockwall still pulled out the win. So as far as his career numbers, because of that, it's slowing down a little bit. But he's at 4,353 total yards in his career, with 22 more receptions, which we're very confident he'll get there. He'll pass Shipley for third place in all-time receptions.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's extremely impressive. And then he needs 647 more receiving yards to be the third player in state history, no matter what the level, to get over 5,000 yards receiving. So, it's just a really, really impressive kid, and what he's done has just been amazing. And so both of those are very reachable, especially throw in a few playoff games. Yeah, I see Jackson getting over 600 yards receiving, and against Mesquite. And then you got, I would say, at the minimum, 2 to 3 playoff games. I'd like it to be 6, and that could happen. Jackson could get that mark too.
You might get that Duncanville game like we all want maybe next year.
Dave Campbell says that's the semifinal.
I've seen it twice now. Before the year even started, I saw it twice. Speaking of Duncanville and playoffs, I know we're not trying to look too far ahead down the road here. Obviously, a huge matchup against Mesquite coming up here this Friday night at the Wilk. Of course, senior night for our wonderful seniors here at Rockwall High School. Looking down the road about what ifs. Do you have the scenarios of what if? Obviously, Allen and Prosper do end up playing, I think, on November the 1st, which is this Friday as well. So that game's going to be one I think Rockwall fans are going to keep their eyes on a little bit just to see what that second round might look like. But first things first is that first round. Can you have an idea what it looks like?
That one's still a little bit iffy. Right now, it looks like, and if you look at the standings, you're going to be like, wait, what are you talking about? But right now, it looks like Killeen. It could be Killeen. Just looking at their schedule.
And that would be if we host one.
Yeah, if we host one. Yeah, if we end up winning, we anticipate winning Friday. Always do. Of course. So, with Rockwall's win and being the number 1 Division I seed in our district, they more than likely would play Killeen, but Harker Heights is also in the mix, and Killeen Shoemaker is in the mix, possibly even Belton still. So they're real close. They're at 4-2, 4-3, 3-4. A couple more games left for a lot of these teams, and then Belton, I believe, is at 2-4 right now, but they could win out and sneak in. So we know the top 2 teams are Midway and Temple. Well, that's the 2 smallest enrollment teams. So we're not too worried about those guys facing them. And it looks like they've got those sewn up.
Now, that would be if Rockwall were to lose Friday, they would go to possibly one of those 2 schools.
No, no. They're Division 2. They're Division 2.
So who would be the other team if worst case scenario Rockwall would face if they had to travel?
It still depends on how these guys shake out. Yeah, and so you could be going to Shoemaker. You could be going to Harker Heights if Rockwall does not win Friday night. So it's
still a jumble.
Yeah, still a jumble. But right now, looks like it could be Killeen. Killeen has the easiest schedule going out. So if they win out, a couple of these teams play each other, and so that will knock one down and boost one up. And but it's still, talk to me after Friday. And
we got a big game Friday to worry about. That's for sure.
And then after that, possibly playing Allen. You talked about Allen and Prosper. The only thing I wonder, though, is Prosper's enrollment. I don't know if they're not Division II also, no matter what happens in that game. But it looks like it's going to be Allen again in the second round.
You would expect it to be.
I think all of us want. We felt like
that rematch. Yep.
Yeah, we were right there last year. Again, we keep going back to, not to use that as an excuse, but give us a healthy Jackson Smith in the fourth quarter, and I don't know if that thing doesn't change tremendously. But you do what you do. You play with who you got and what happens and deal with it. And so, anyway, I did see that Tisdale, their quarterback last year that went to Ole Miss, he's in the transfer portal.
He's on the transfer portal. The top 4 teams in that district are Allen, Jesuit, Prosper, and Plano, with McKinney and Plano East still vying for a spot. So you really never know what's going to happen. This school's got 2 weeks left in this crazy FNAC thing. So if you are watching right there out there, if you want 4 tickets to this week's game between Rockwall and Mesquite, which will be for that all-important number 1 seed in Division I, email me, chris.curtis@rockwallisd.org, and tell me who you're cheering for on the Rockwall Yellow Jacket squad. It could be Billy. I mean, you might be cheering for Billy to have a clean game. You never know. Or David Sweet to stay warm. I mean, you never know. If it's going to be cold down there, it's going to be nice and chilly. I think I saw 35 for a low this Friday night. So fall is
let me say this.
gone, and winter is here.
We got Sweet's mic fixed, kind of, and so we're
Okay.
paying for it now.
You're going to be hearing some shivers now.
Yeah, you're going to be hearing Sweet a lot more, so I apologize ahead of time. No, I give him a hard time. It makes our broadcast so much better when David's mic is working down there, because you get that feel from the field. I just love it. I don't know why. I just love it when you can hear the coin toss of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And all that
Great.
stuff. And he's down there and he's getting everything firsthand and reporting it back to us. There's a lot of things that we can't see from the booth that is going on down there, and David helps out tremendously with that. So, and so I encourage everybody, if you can't make it, to listen in. The broadcast is, it's still unprofessional, but it's a little bit better now that we got David working down there on the sidelines.
We'll carry that all the way through, hopefully, December, of course. Looking ahead, like I said, if you want tickets to the game, Chris.Curtis at rockwallisd.org. Tell me who you're cheering for, and we will get those tickets to you tomorrow.
Did we tell them where we're at? Have you mentioned where we're at?
We are actually back home. We are at the Dr. June Burton College and Career Academy here in Rockwall, of course, off John Keene. It's a wonderful facility. If you have not come out here yet, do it. It is awesome. They have the Parade Cafe that's open, I think, once a month. Go check it out. I think it's this Friday, so you might have to wait until after football season is over, but it is phenomenal. And everything else here they have going on, from medical to audio-visual to everything. Our jobs are in jeopardy with these kids you're learning now. They are major jeopardy.
Yeah, I know that I got to,
we got to step our game up a little bit.
Yeah, we got to bring, one day I'm going to bring the A game. But this facility here that Misty Rayson has, she's, she is the AV teacher here with a lot of the AV and the graphic design and things like that. She's outstanding. But it's just top-notch facility. That, at Rockwall, we got some great stuff, but we ain't got this.
Yeah,
this is nice.
This is WFA material up in here, so I'm very excited that we're here the rest of the way. Have great signal to talk to everybody, so we're excited about that. Thankful to all of our partners that we were able to travel this season. Might revamp it a little bit next year as far as bringing them in here because our signal's so much better here. So we do appreciate y'all kind of sticking with us throughout the season as far as that goes. And we ain't done yet. We're still got a long way to go. We're going to switch gears just for a minute. We're going to talk about volleyball. Obviously, volleyball, very important. Yesterday, we were able to crown not one, but two district champions. Rockwall and Rockwall Heath, of course, both split their season series this year, so they both are co-district champions. Rockwall Heath, that is the 8th in a row for them. That is super impressive for Rockwall Heath and what Coach Younger has done for them. Of course, Coach Ferguson, his first year at Rockwall, and just add the trophy to the mail. That's awesome. I mean, just you can't pick any better than these two schools at volleyball. The district was a little down this year, as it kind of has been in years past.
Ain't our fault.
And like you said, you got to play who you got to play. Yeah. And sure enough, they will start their season playoff journey this Tuesday. We'll, of course, have that broadcast for you. I'm going to get out to both schools either this week or early next week to grab interviews and talk about volleyball as well. But we talk about the breeding ground of volleyball and the DFW area. The Rockwall community is just a breeding ground for amazing volleyball talent. Both amazing coaches. Maggie's proven it year in and year out. Of course, Coach Ferguson only needed a year to become a district champion. So talk about volleyball and how important it is, especially when you have sports like football that are dominant. Yeah. Baseball is dominant. Volleyball is right up there.
It is. And I think sometimes because it's during football season, people forget about it, sure. To a degree, and it's on a Friday night. A lot of times they also play Tuesday nights. You got to get out there. If you're going to the football game, and we get it, you still have Tuesday nights to go watch them, and both squads. And these girls are unbelievable. And I'm going to be honest with you. As far as girls sports go, I've been doing the Lady Jackets basketball for a long time, for 12 years. Both myself and David Sweet. We had not done volleyball up until a couple of years ago. So we start going to the volleyball games. It's a lot more as far as broadcasters. I'd gone before, but it is amazing how athletic and how exciting these games are. If you haven't gone, you have to go. What they can do and the ability that they have and how exciting these games are is just amazing. Mm-hmm. It's just fun. And I can't tell you, it's almost like, I remember back in the day when people were like, go to a NASCAR race and you'll see what we're talking about. You can't see it on TV. And that's what volleyball is, especially these two teams playing. Get in the gym. We want you to listen and all that. But I know you see it on TV with other teams and stuff. When you're there, it's just really, really fun. These are really good teams. They both will be probably, I'm assuming, Waco. We talked about this, Waco area, Hillsboro, whatever, in the playoffs. Because this is not like football where you get a home playoff game. You're going to find a neutral site the by district is that Waco/Killeen district. So looks like they'll be. Last year we were at Italy in their gym, which is kind of cool.
And that's a fun little gym to be in. It's more
really
of a little
cool.
coliseum in a way, which
Right.
is kind of cool.
It was really fun there, and so we got to see the Lady Jackets advance into the area round and did a great job there. And so, and I'll have Fran Webb as my analyst, and be my third year to do it with Fran, and she's outstanding, former volleyball coach herself. And she knows the sport, knows a lot better than I, and so
she carries you.
She carries
volleyball.
me
there you go.
in more ways than one. You got to believe it. And so all I do is just kind of tell you what's happening, and Fran's gonna let you know the more of the details and what the strategies are and all that kind of stuff. But I'm picking it up pretty quick. But I'll never be at the Fran Webb level.
Yeah, and volleyball, like I said, we'll have that schedule out here once we learn it. Of course, both teams will have a not a play-in game, but just a warm-up game for the playoffs. This Friday, of course, and so that'll take place.
And they still need to decide who's the number 1, number 2 seed.
I think that's a coin flip. I don't know how I'll talk to the coaches tomorrow about what they're planning on doing with that, unless they've already done it, and we're going to learn it tomorrow.
Or if let us know.
If we're going to Taco Bell and flipping a coin, you never know. I mean, I don't know how it works, or Whataburger, or what are we doing? So, but exciting times for volleyball. Very excited for them. Hopefully, they do make a deep run. These two teams are actually a little better than I think they have been in years past. So. It's going to be fun to see how far these two teams go, and hopefully maybe they can play back to back like they kind of have in the past. Especially that first round, we've had the same gym for both teams, which is kind of cool. So you can watch one and stay and watch the other.
That's been really nice, and we've done that with basketball, yeah.
And so basketball, of course, has kicked off as well. I wouldn't say kicked off, tipped off as well. Of course, both teams are able to start practicing now. Boys kicked off yesterday, girls last week. So we are already talking basketball. Just crazy to think about. It seems like it's yesterday we were shooting our football promos here, and now we're already diving into playoffs of football and whatnot. And I also want to give a shout out to the cross country team for Rockwall as well. First in district for the girls, second in district for the boys, and I think the best name that I've ever heard in Rockwall High School, River Hill, is going to state. Once again, that is the one of the best names I think I've ever heard for a high school student. River Hill is going to state, so congratulations to him. And being able to go down to state for cross country, represent Rockwall High School, pretty cool.
That's huge. That's outstanding, and that is an outstanding name.
I'm surprised you haven't put on River Hill yet.
Well, I feel
like you can make a song or something.
And I love names that are either two last names, or two first names. Zach Henry, is a two first name. I remember Brooks Helmer was a two last name. I think River Hill is in the two last name.
He's moving up the echelon
category.
Of legends of Rockwall High School. I think he was, of course, representing Rockwall last year at state as well. So congratulations to him and everybody that's doing well at Rockwall High School. Of course, if you're just joining us, Stan Britton, he's gone. He's not here. He had a work issue come up late.
Well, some of us are committed.
So I'm gonna give him a pass because this is bye week. I'll give you a pass next week if need be.
No, I'll be here, Chris.
That's awesome.
I'm committed.
That's committed.
I'm committed. I'm unlike Stan, where the crackers were stale for communion or whatever, and he had to stay late. I don't know, but
we'll figure it out. I'm sure.
I'm here.
And of course, Jet, our cameraman, he's watching right now. So get better, Jet. We miss you too. It's kind of lonely here now without everybody around. I'm
sorry, Chris. You've had a cold, and I've had a cold before. We've made it.
I've been here.
Yeah.
It was nasty, but I've been here.
We're on the air.
That's the human.
We don't have to stand behind the camera and look important.
Just pop the gate and you're good to go.
Wow.
Man, but it's all good.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of disappointed.
We'll see how it goes. So just get better, Jet. We'll hope to see you here next week. And, of course, Friday night as well, as Rockwall will take on Mesquite for that number 1 seed in District 11-6A Division 1.
Division 1, yeah.
So
and I do think on the horizon, talking about that, if I understand it right, they're going to do it like 4A, hopefully, at some point, where we already know the D1 and D2 schools, and they're going to, at some point, set districts that way, so we don't have to worry, because it really is frustrating to look and say, okay, well, these are the 4 qualifying, but we have to go look up enrollments and all that. It does get frustrating. In volleyball they don't do it, and in baseball they don't do it. Here's the 4, let's go. So I would like that, I think, because 4A already knows.
If they do that, do they bring instant replay up to 6A too?
I think.
Is it coming?
I don't know. You bring it for the big games, don't you?
Yeah.
Maybe.
State. I think it's Final Four is Thursday, or is it just the state qualifying game?
I don't know.
I know it's state for sure.
Right.
I don't know if it's for the.
I don't know.
Final Four.
it's high school football. I kind of like the human element in it and all that stuff, and that we just have to.
And the pro sports kind of slow things down a little bit.
It has. It kind of gets you frustrated because now we're looking at things. If the ball barely touched the ground, we don't need to be at that point. We know what a catch is. We know what it isn't. Let's just look at it and say,
I still don't know what a catch is.
The thing yesterday in baseball with the runner going down the other runner interference. I know you were watching hockey, like 3 people in America. The rest of us were watching baseball.
You know
who
is a big hockey fan on the Rockwall Yellow Jackets?
Who's that?
QB1.
Really?
Big hockey fan.
Did not know that.
We've been tweeting back and forth, so he's a big hockey fan, son.
All right. Didn't know that. I'll have to talk to him about that.
You gotta ask him about his hockey knowledge. I think he knows a thing or two. Big Stars fan, I think, so that's good. So Coach Reeves says state only.
Okay, state only.
State only. So thanks for clarifying that, Coach. So who knows where that's going to end up down the road? You never know. Of course, you never know what's going to happen with
I'm just
with
not
sports
sure
these
if I
days.
think that would. I don't know if it would take more away than what it helps.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think kind of that slowed baseball down and a whole lot more than sped it up. So that's another story. It's another day. Real quick, let's talk about what you got going on next week. Of course, it is your bye week. A big baseball game, and I did say baseball. Big baseball game not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Coach Talley is getting things going. We're going to have Coach Talley on next week.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I hadn't told him yet. But
he's probably got some.
I guarantee you he's available.
He's got something divish to do, I'm sure, but he's going to make plans to be here. I guarantee you. I wish we had him on today, but we'll get him here next Wednesday.
Well, and let me say this: if we get him on this show, on this Sportscenter update, he's not leaving.
Yeah.
So get ready.
The Today Show is going to be calling. He's going to be wanting. He's going to want it to upgrade a little bit.
And
we'll have our cameraman back, so it'll be all him. Hopefully,
so we'll figure that out.
But a big baseball game. Tell us a little bit about what's going on next Saturday.
It's the alumni game, and it's really fun. And Rockwall hadn't done it in years, and so Coach Rose, give him credit. Taking over the Jackets last year. So you get a lot of older Yellow Jackets come back and they play the baseball game, and we want to broadcast it. We think it'd be great if we could broadcast it for those that can't make it, because it's on Saturday, on November 9th. It's going to be on Saturday. Who knows what the weather's going to be like, but, I don't think they care. Let's go out there and have fun with it. And Talley wants to be, and I know he'll want to be down there and talking to a majority of these guys. A lot of these guys are going to be Talley disciples, that were playing when he was here and taking them to state championships and stuff. And they still come around all the time. I love it. We will get them on the air as much as we can during our baseball games and give them a headset and let them talk old days. And most of the time it's not baseball they talk about. They talk about the hotel stays and the bus rides and practices, and it's great stories. It's fun to hear. So a lot of these guys will be back, and they'll have this alumni game. And I want to thank Coach Rose for bringing it back. And Coach Talley's very excited about it. He was the one that got that rolling back in the day. And so they're bringing it back, and I just would encourage everybody to come out to Talley Field and watch these guys on November 9th on Saturday.
Are we going to see Coach Talley swing a bat at all?
I don't know.
At Talley Field?
I don't know.
Why not? I think that needs to happen.
I would like it.
Everybody would like that.
He is known as the swing doctor. He helps everybody else with their bat.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think that needs to be.
I would like it. Yeah, I would like
that. Has to be the
and
opening.
Speaking of batting, I want to say one thing.
I think opening pitch, the ceremonial first pitch, should be Rose to Talley. I think Talley needs to swing away.
All right, let's just let it rip.
Just let it rip. See what happens. You get one shot though. You get one shot.
Oh man, I don't know. You figure Rose, sends him a breaking ball. And
I don't know what he's going to be sending.
Breaks his neck trying to get to it. One thing I will say, this is something that even Coach Talley has been impressed with, and I'm just going to give Coach Rose some cred here. And I don't know why this is not a huge deal, but it just comes to mind when you watch them do in and out, which is the infield practice before a game. The hardest thing to me that you can do is when they do it, you'll watch it and they will hit third base. He throws it, he comes in, so you hit it for everybody to come in. Last guy is the catcher that's standing there getting all the throws in. And Rose is amazing at hitting a ball straight up in the air for his final grab, for the catcher's final grab. Because I've seen a lot of other coaches try it, and that thing is flying everywhere. Yeah. Rose is really good at it. And Talley has admitted he never mastered that.
Ooh.
Yeah, he never mastered it. He said he could do it.
Maybe that's a challenge we need to do.
Yeah,
for this game.
I don't know why, but that's something. You go to the Yellow Jacket games this year, watch Coach Rose now put pressure on him.
Yeah, now he's going to be like,
now he's going to give a kid a black eye with a ball flying out or something.
Or Talley, you never know.
Yeah. But anyway, I just have to say, I don't know why, but that's just something I always watch for. It impresses me. But it just gets me going, man, and we kind of jumped over, but basketball, we have volleyball playoffs. Basketball, 2 outstanding teams. The Hawks and Jackets never disappoint in basketball, especially over the last few years with Coach Williams and Coach Waters. They do an outstanding job, and those teams are super competitive. Two different styles. Boy, Heath is out there, 3-pointers, just running up and down the floor. Rockwall likes to play a little bit more traditional, work that ball with the offense, and play some really, really hard defense. Well, when these two teams play, and so get ready for that, Rockwall. Be ready for the Tuesdays and Fridays there to get over to the gyms and watch them. It's wintertime. It's always warm in the gym. You don't have to worry about weather. Get in there and watch these teams because they're both expected to do really well, and they'll both be in the playoffs too.
And of course, Sammy W, Louisville.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah.
He's getting his credit over there.
That's gonna be fun to watch.
We miss him here, obviously, but he's definitely gonna be on the big stage, and who knows, maybe on the big stage. Maybe for the Mavs. You never know. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Up and coming Maverick team, maybe. Add the Rockwall kid to the mix. Why not? That'd be pretty cool. I mean, why
Things
not?
got to work out to get that pick and get him there, but we're kind of jumping ahead.
Maybe the Mavs will get really good. He'll kind of drop into the Mavs swing and get him and have a first rounder just like that. You never know how that works.
Super good.
Or he's a superstar and he's the next LeBron, and
you
go from there. So
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But of course,
sure fun having him here.
It was. If you want to be a broadcast sponsor for that baseball game, email either me or Billy.
Yeah.
And
we went off on a tangent, didn't we?
We did. We went NBA all the way around the board. So if you want to be a part of that, email me or Billy, and we will get that set up for you. We will make sure you on the broadcast. And if you want to sponsor that broadcast, we're inviting you to come on the broadcast, talk about your business. We can play promos for you. Billy does a great job at that. You can have a partner for that game. Is it going to be Tally?
Yeah, he wants to
it'll be Tally.
I think it'll probably be a little bit of, Tally's going to be in the booth, but he's going to be obviously very involved, and he'll be down there with the players. And I'd like him to, I know he'll probably be in the dugout a little bit. Sure. Maybe we work something up with the
on-field mic.
The on-field mic, and maybe have him down there. And I really...
That is going to be great entertainment.
Well, if we can do it, because, listen, he's the worst at technology.
If you can do that during the regular season, the ratings are going to be astronomical.
If he can go on the field?
Oh, my gosh, yes. In the dugout?
You understand he has to work equipment. He doesn't know. He thinks that the laptop's an Etch-a-Sketch. He wanted to erase something, and he shook it. So, he doesn't know... He still calls things zip drives and stuff, and so I don't. We'll try it, or maybe we got to get an assistant just to work the mic.
We need to have an off-season program for him and teach him how to do things. That might be.
If only he had a wife that's in charge of the technology department in the school. But if only, yeah. It's
I'm not gonna go there, but we're good. Okay, so we'll make it happen. Of course, if you want to be a sponsor for that, email me or Billy, and we'll get you set up for that.
Yes, we'd love that.
And make that happen. It's $250 to be a broadcast sponsor, so we'd love to have you for that. Any final thoughts with this Rockwall Sportscenter update? Of course, we thank Rockwall Sportscenter for helping us out each and every week for this show. We love giving them props, and go there if you want to buy. Just saw today they got a new shipment in of sweatshirts, shirts, some bumper stickers, some, I don't know what you call them, decals for your car. They got a whole new shipment in this weekend, so they are rocking and rolling, ready to go for the winter season.
That's where I get all my stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be cold this Friday, so go get your stuff to wrap up and get that going for Friday. Get there, cheer on your seniors this Friday night. Rockwall Heath is off, so Heath fans, maybe go cheer on Rockwall and help them out a little bit. I know that a lot of Rockwall players and fans will go out to the next week's game Thursday night to cheer on the Rockwall Heath Hawks. A lot of people are friends. A lot of players are friends. They play, they play football forever.
For all those guys except for 1 week a year.
Yeah, 1 week a year.
Football, yeah. And so and I know they're the same way, and so it's fun. And last year, even though it was a tough year for Heath, Rockwall had the same bye, so went and watched the Hawks play their last game.
I was on that Thursday night game there. It was 50 strong for Heath out there, so it works both ways. But final thoughts: a big game this Friday. Of course, Rockwall versus Mesquite. The winner of this will take the #1 seed for Division I.
I love it. I love every minute of the season, and especially when we get to this point, it feels like it's just flown by. Like you said, it wasn't too long ago. Me, you, and Stan were standing here filming a quick promo for the scoreboard, and now here we are talking about the end of the season and playoffs, and it's just exciting as all get out. And this is a huge game. It really is a huge game. This is the game that really is going to decide a lot of things. Last week's was big, but you get the win. That makes this one even bigger. And I'm really excited to see what Rockwall does against a very, very good Mesquite team. Coach Fleener has done a great job since he's been there and taken that over. And I'm wondering, I want to see how things work with the Jackson, getting him back into the game plan when he will. And he's going to be a big factor. I can't imagine that Mesquite's not sitting here going, holy cow, really? That we got to figure it out, because he's going to be chomping at the bit, and the coaching staff and the players to get him on track again. And not that he wasn't before, but Yeah, it's still a great game, but we're expecting, the numbers we've seen from Jackson is a video game caliber. So I'm really excited about that. I love the cold weather. I love all of it. It's just a fun time. Get out there. To all the students, and they have been great. That student section has been crazy good. The fans have been great. A lot of big numbers. I mean, I don't know how many times. Yeah, during the Highland Park game, Rockwall normally has that place full, but they've had that place full for a number of games this year. It's just been great, and this is football weather now. So
Absolutely.
Let's get out there, let's have fun, and I'm ready to roll. And I've just gotten the word our ratings have skyrocketed without Stan. I don't want to throw any stones, but the numbers speak
They're
for
going
themselves.
up.
I mean, my goodness, that little thing is just turning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a decision to make next week.
You have to make some. Might put Michael Parks up here. I think the hair might have to come up here.
I don't know, but this is just. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, Stan. I mean, I hate speaking the truth, but I mean, we got it all over the place.
And I want to give a big shout out to the Dark Side and the Student Swarm this year, as Billy has mentioned. They have been absolutely phenomenal. They've been, I think the key word, Billy, is lit.
I think so.
They've been lit
Us old
this
guys
year. They have
been
they've been nominated several weeks in a row as far as one of the top student sections in the DFW. So hats off to those guys. They have been bringing it every week, and hope to see them continue for the next 7-8 weeks essentially. Pretty much week before Christmas. Let's roll that way. So thank you for joining us. Lost my thought for a minute. Billy is getting calls from all his fans.
We're making dinner plans.
Dinner plans. Yeah, I got to let him go. So once again, thank you to Rockwall Sportscenter for hosting once again this week. We are back here at the Academy next week to bring you that. Hopefully Stan is back on the set and we have a cameraman once again. And if you can't make it to the game this week, don't forget www.rockwallisd.com. Click the orange button to listen to your Rockwall Yellow Jackets, of course, the Rockwall Heath Hawks. Won't be able to listen to them. The rest of it. You know what? I think he went to Cabo. I think that was Stan's excuse.
All I know is
I mentioned it last week.
Stay in Cabo. The numbers are crazy right now.
I mean, I think he went off to Cabo. So don't go off.
You're
to
already
Cabo.
saying Stan's back next week. Do you want high ratings or do you want? You know what? Watch us anyway. Stan will be back.
Stan will be back.
We'll watch us anyway.
It'll be good. We will see you next week. Don't forget, go Heath Hawks. I'll say it for Stan, and I'll let Billy take over from here. Have a great week, everybody. Don't forget,
Jacket fight never dies.
Have a great one, everybody.